Patch 5.3 added collision attacks to 5 different monsters in Total Warhammer, so let's have a quick comparison on how the collision attacks works on all these units. First up, we have the Kissle monster and also a mount for Kissle casters, the Frostworm. Not exactly the most damage on impact, since the narrow body profile of the single entity monster means there is not that much contact, not that much collision against their targets. The great thing is that the attack animation carries the Frostworm straight through enemy formations, making it rather hard to trap down the monster. While this doesn't justify bringing the Frostworm on its own on the battlefield, the additional damage does make the Kissle casters a bit more threatening when they bring in a Frostworm mount, so we can definitely expect to see more caster and Frostworm combo on the Kissle roster appearing. The next one is still a Kissle monster, but it's a bit of a weird one, the Elemental Bear. The reason why I say it's weird is that the Elemental Bear doesn't need a lunging motion to do collision damage. You can see here, it is just walking menacingly towards the Chaos Lord, and anything coming into contact with the Elemental Bear took damage. There's no obvious acceleration here, so it looks like the menacing walking part is the charge animation. And because the Elemental Bear has a pretty wide model, it makes pretty good collision contact on its target, doing some pretty good damage as well. There's also this one random attack animation that, despite not being a charge attack, it still does collision damage as the Elemental Bear shuffles around. It helps the bear do more damage, but it's an attack move that appears randomly, so you can't really rely on it. Next up, we have the KalidDestroyer, the mighty demonic construct of the Chaos Dwarves. This one, unlike the Elemental Bear, does have a lunging motion for its charge attack. Combining with its rather wide unit model, it actually makes really good contact with enemy blobs, knocking out over a quarter of health on these Chaos Warriors testing dummies. The Lizardman's Quartal is a weird one. Just like the Frostworm, it doesn't exactly have a wide model, so the collision damage is a bit limited, not making the best contact against enemy units. But the fact that the Quartal can fly and has an attack animation that carries it over a long distance makes it a very disrupting piece. Pretty much able to reach any unit at once and drag them into melee combat. I can definitely see the Quartal being used more by Lizardman players as a backline disruption, being thrown into enemy missile units and silence their firepower. Now, last but certainly not the least, Nurgle's Toad Dragon. Possibly the most broken charge out of the all 5? I'm not gonna say anything, just watch this. That's half the HP gone from a Chaos Warrior unit. It is such a fat dragon, it allows the Toad Dragon to make contact with so many more infantry models, just collide with them and amplify the damage of this Nurgle monster. And to make things even better for Nurgle, Toad Dragon has amazing attack animation. Normally you would try to target the unit behind your intended target with a collision attack because the attacking animation, the charge animation, stops right at the first row of your enemy's unit. That is actually not the case for the Toad Dragon because the attack animation drives it right into the center of its enemy's formation, or even actually way behind it. This makes it much nicer to micro the Toad Dragon because it will do good damage wherever it charges. It definitely seems like the Toad Dragon is the one getting the most out of the collision attacks addition in the patch 5.3 update. Looks like we're gonna see a lot more Toad Dragons on the battlefield, especially with Tamarkin riding on it, giving it unbreakable, plus the Nurgle healing keeping it alive well into the late game.